Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have more infuriating news for you guys today. So, Donald Trump, as you may have heard, he had filed numerous lawsuits against his own government. He filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS because someone in the IRS had leaked his tax returns to the press. This was like back in 2019, I think, when he was first in office. He then also filed a $230 million lawsuit over the classified documents case, also because of the Mar-a-Lago search at his house, in particular, not just the case, but because of the search, and also because of the Russian collusion investigation from his first term. So there were all these rumors swirling of a settlement, and it had been reported by several news outlets that, yeah, it sounds like the IRS is going to settle with him when he is in charge of the IRS. I mean, it is the biggest conflict of interest. He admitted it in an interview. Somebody was asking him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's basically like I'm suing myself." Okay, so an outline of this potential agreement was just released by ABC yesterday, and you will believe it, but it's just infuriating. So they said, the per the terms of this agreement, Trump would use our tax dollars to pay out $1.7 billion, 1.7 billion of our tax dollars to pay potentially his terrorists who vandalized the US Capitol and assaulted almost 150 police officers on January 6th. I wish I was joking. Here is what the article said. It says President Donald Trump is expected to drop his $10 billion lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service in exchange for the creation of a $1.7 billion fund to compensate allies who claim they were wrongfully targeted by the Biden administration, sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. The commission overseeing the compensation fund would have the total authority to hand out approximately 1.7 billion in taxpayer funds to settle claims brought by anyone who alleges they were harmed by the Biden administration's weaponization of the legal system, including the nearly 1,600 individuals charged in connection with the January 6th Capitol attack, as well as potentially entities associated with President Trump himself. So, not only Donald Trump's Capitol terrorists, but also lawmakers who were investigated, people like Lauren Boebert, people like Scott Perry, anyone who thinks that they were wrongly investigated, like Mark Meadows, Rudy Giuliani, all of the people who allegedly helped him or have been proven to have helped him try to overturn the legitimate 2020 election. And let's keep in mind who these January Sixers are. We're talking about people like John Benuelos, the guy who shot off a gun at the Capitol, who 6 months later stabbed a man to death in a park, who is, to my knowledge, still in jail right now for violently assaulting a woman, like kidnapping her essentially, holding her against her will, and violently assaulting her. We're talking about Peter Schwartz, a guy who has a rap sheet that's as long as my arm, if not longer. Before January 6th, he had something like 19 previous convictions and even more arrests. Like, not 19 arrests, 19 convictions. Josiah Kenyon, a guy who you might recall, he was dressed up like Jack Skellington on January 6th. He was seen on video beating the hell out of police with all kinds of objects. He had like a table leg that had a nail sticking out of the end of it, and he was hitting the police officers with it. Luckily, they had their shields, but throwing all kinds of things at them. You have Daniel Rodriguez and a bunch of other guys who attacked Officer Michael Fanone, caused him to have a heart attack, caused him a brain injury, a traumatic brain injury, literally almost killed him. Numerous child predators, which I've shared with you guys. They were some of them were child predators before January 6th. Some of them committed more child crimes after January 6th. Like, all of this is so unbelievably egregious and unprecedented. The court had they just to give you the backstory, the court had appointed attorneys to argue this case. Okay, because obviously you have you know, the Donald Trump regime is the one filing this, and there's really nobody on the other side to argue against it. So the court appointed attorneys who have now filed a demand just this morning to toss this case entirely. So here's an article that talked about this. And this article said, quote, a federal court's own appointed attorneys filed a blistering brief Wednesday, or excuse me, I guess it was 2 days ago, arguing that Donald Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS may be flatly unconstitutional because, as Trump himself put it, he's essentially suing himself. I mean, really? I'm going to sue you. No, you're not, Gina. Yes, I am, Gina. Okay, I'll pay you. Oh, thanks, Gina. Send it to my bank. I mean, that's what it's like, guys. It's like, it's a freaking joke. So, in the brief that they filed apparently on Wednesday, I thought it was today, but I guess it's just being reported today. Here's what they wrote. They said, this case is unprecedented. A sitting president seeks monetary damages for alleged harm to his personal interests from an executive agency that he controls. We're in crazy town. This is insanity. This is absolute freaking insanity that we are dealing with in our country right now. Like I said, we are not sliding into fascism, as people like to say. We're there. We're in fascism land. This is what it's like. We've looked at other countries over the years, over the decades and centuries or decades, I guess, and said, oh gosh, I wonder what it's like to live under a fascist regime where there's no laws and nothing matters, and the rich just get away with everything, and there's oligarchs, and the government's totally bought and paid for, and there's no real rules, and the only people who get in trouble are, the average Americans and the working people. Here we are. Here we are. Anyway, I will keep an eye on this, but here's what I do know. This to me seems like a bribe. This to me seems like Donald Trump is trying to pay off the worst of the worst. And this to me, as I have mentioned in previous videos, seems like the Demolition Man theory of the case. This is like his Demolition Man maneuver. And for anybody who hasn't seen that movie, it's very old, so I'm sure it's not going to be a spoiler alert for anybody. But basically, there's a bad guy. He's in charge of the country, and he decides that he's going to weaponize all of the felons who are in prison by not teaching them how to be better people, but teaching them how to be worse, how to be more violent, how to actually be like experts in murdering people. And that way, when he needs them, when he needs to call upon them for his own ends, because he is corrupt, he can release them and they will be his personal violent army. That is what I believe Donald Trump is doing here. I think Donald Trump sees he is wildly unpopular. His party is very likely to lose in the midterms, and he is going to be in trouble. And even a lot of his own party is likely to turn against him because a lot of his own voters are now turning against him. And I think he wants his own little puppet army, his own little violent puppet army, who is indebted to him, who he's, handing out money to and giving pardons and commuting sentences for, and he will call upon them to act as the hammer for him, just in case the military doesn't, or maybe in addition to the military, because he knows there's a lot of guns. We are a country of guns. And believe it or not, MAGA, a lot of us on the left have a lot of guns. So anyway, guys, the one saving grace, if it's that, is that a lot of his voters were not on board with his pardons. So imagine how they are going to feel now. And this is based on polling. It was wildly unpopular when he pardoned the January Sixers. So imagine how they're going to react now, knowing that he started a war, which he said he would not do. He is destroying the economy, which he said he would do the opposite. He is making everyone's lives miserable and more expensive. And now he's going to take more of our tax dollars and hand it over to the people that he pardoned, who committed crimes and who beat up police officers, which he claims to care about. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess if it makes him even more unpopular, that's this kind of sort of the silver lining. But like, imagine these people with millions of dollars, what they're going to do that they didn't deserve. They committed crimes. They violently attacked police officers, destroyed our Capitol, literally smeared feces on the wall, and pissed all over, literally pissed in our Capitol, terrorized everyone in that building, and they're probably going to receive millions of dollars. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share so everyone knows about this absolutely heinous action that he's about to take. Please subscribe if you have not. Donate if you possibly can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.